Hello students, welcome to the English class. Today we are going to have the explanation of one of the finest poem of your book, that is A Photograph, composed by Shirley Tilson. So before moving ahead for the explanation of this poem, let's see the message that the poetess want to convey through this poem, the idea that the poem highlights. So basically this poem A Photograph is highlighting the bittersweet memories of the past. The poetess is nostalgic about her mother, about the past days. So nostalgia is such a feeling of the past when we are reminding the memories of the past. That is known as the nostalgia feeling. Okay. So A Photograph also highlights the harsh reality of death and the inescapable pain, the unbearable pain of separation. So let's start the poem A Photograph. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girls' cousin went paddling. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girls' cousin went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hand, and see the big girl, some 12 years or so. See, in the beginning of the poem, it is very clear that the poetess, she is looking at the photograph of her mother. The photograph that was of her childhood. That was the childhood photograph of her mother. And the photograph was captured at that time when her mother went to spend her holiday at the sea beach. And at that time, her uncle was there with her, who has captured that snapshot. Snapshot means what? Photograph. That snapshot. And years later, when she was watching that photograph, it was reminding about her mother's childhood days. That her mother, when she was young, the cardboard shows me how it was. The cardboard, that album, that frame, where that photograph is there, she is seeing that photograph of her mother. The poetess is seeing the photograph of her mother. How it was when the two girls' cousin went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hand, and see the big girl, some 12 years or so. This photograph was captured at that time when her mother went at the sea beach to spend her holiday with her two cousins. And the poetess mother was in between. She was in between, and her hands were held by two cousins. The narrator's mother's cousin. Poetess mother went with her cousin to spend her holiday at the sea beach, and in the photograph it is clearly visible that the narrator's mother was there at the sea beach, each one holding one of my mother's hand with her two cousins, who were holding her mother's hand by both sides. And see the big girl, some 12 years or so. And the big girl who was in between them, she was the tallest one. She was 12 years old, near about 12 years old. It was the poetess mother. All three stood still to smile through their hair and at the uncle with the camera, a sweet face. All three stood still to smile through their hair, and all those three, who three? Narrator's poet's mother and her two cousins, Betty and Dolly. The poetess mother and her two cousins, Betty and Dolly. Okay, they were standing still. They were stood still silently. They were just still at their place for their photograph. They were smiling, giving a smile. And the uncle who was there with the camera, he has captured that snapshot. He has clicked that photograph at that time. A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. And this photograph was captured when the poetess mother was 12 years old, and she went to spend her holiday at the sea beach with her two cousins, Betty and Dolly. Both were holding her mother's hand, poetess mother's hand, by both sides, and poetess mother was 12 years old at that time, and this photograph was captured by her uncle. Okay, this photograph was captured by the uncle who was standing there with the camera, and this sweet memory was captured there. And years later, when she had been watching that photograph, she was looking at her mother face, that how sweet, how beautiful she was appearing at that time. And this photograph was captured before her birth, before I was born, before the poetess birth. And the sea, which appears to have changeless, was their terribly transient feet, So, and the sea, which have appears to changeless. See, a very deep meaning this line is having, that with the passage of the time, everything that got changed. The narrators, the poet's mother, who used to be 12 years old at that time when the photograph was captured, but with the passage of the time she got old. But the sea that has appeared changeless, but the sea that was washing their terribly transient feet, transient, temporary, that was temporary, because that feet, the feet of these three girls, they were small, and especially the poetess mother, who was 12 years old only, the sea waves, when the sea waves were, they were rolling towards the sea beach, they were washing the feet of poetess mother, and transient feet, temporary feet. Transient feet is why written temporary feet, because at that time she was young, but with the passage of the time she started getting old. She was not having the same soft feet as she was having when she was 12 years old, but the sea that was washing the feet at that time, that has appeared changeless, that did not change. But the people, the narrator, the poet's mother, she got changed, she got old with the passage of the time. And after that, see, some 20 or 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot, see Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. And after, when the photograph was captured, and after 20 to 30 years later, when she was seeing, the poetess mother was seeing that photograph, she was laughing by seeing the Betty and Dolly, two cousins, who were present there with the poetess mother at that time when the photograph was captured. And she was saying that how her parents, the poetess mother is saying that how her parents dressed them for that beach, to go for the beach, for that sea holiday, was her past, mine her laughter. So it was her past, that how she was dressed for that sea holiday, it was the past of poetess mother. But how she was laughing by seeing that photograph, how she was becoming happy, it was the past of the poetess. Both worry with the labored ease of the last. Both are worried, because the poetess mother, she had lost her childhood. Now she is old, she had lost her childhood. She is reminding about the golden days of the childhood, and that was the loss. And the poetess, she was also facing that loss, the loss of her mother, because now her mother was no more. So both are feeling that loss. Now she had been dead nearly as many years. Why it is written many years? See, now she has been dead nearly as many years. Now the poetess mother, she had died years ago, and years ago means many years. This years is compared to this 12 years. Okay, when the photograph was captured, she was 12 years old, and now she had been died nearly 12 years ago. As the girl slept, this is talking about this girl. Okay, like it had been 12 years, then poetess mother had died, and of this circumstances there is nothing to say at all. It silences, and for this the poetess has nothing to say. She is feeling very sad, because she had lost her mother. Only her memories are left with her in the form of that photograph, and she is seeing that photograph and remembering her mother, and feeling that pain of separation, and there is nothing to say at all. It silences. She had no word to explain or to express the grief that she was suffering of, and this was silence and silence only. So once again, I would like to conclude with the theme, like this poem, the photograph, actually highlights the poetess love for her mother, and she is nostalgic, she is about her mother, she is thinking about the past days of her mother, and by seeing her photograph of her young days. And this is also highlighting that death is the final destiny of human life. All those people who are born on this earth, one day they have to die. So death is the final destiny and ultimate goal of human life. So the pain that she is feeling, the pain of separation that she is suffering after losing her mother, that is inescapable, that is unbearable. That's why she is saying that nothing to say, I have no word to explain that grief, that my love for my mother, and its silence and silences only. Okay everybody, thank you very much.